Hey everybody, Max Rich here, and today I want to talk to you about an awesome concept that I call odd over even. And it's a rhythmic idea that I use all the time when I'm soloing. You just heard me kind of use it in the intro to this. And basically, if you notice, I was playing like a repeated pattern over and over and over again. But the beginning of that repeating pattern was not lining up with beat one of every measure the way a lot of players play. They'll play a pattern and then they'll repeat the pattern beginning on beat one again. That is not what I'm doing. What I was doing is similar to like an ostinato pattern, if you know what that is. It's basically like a melodic or rhythmic idea that repeats every so many measures or beats. But basically this concept of odd over even is where you take an odd number of notes, an odd number of pitches, and you play those pitches over an even number of subdivided beats. So what does that mean? Basically, what is a subdivided beat? If you have one beat, one quarter note, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can take one of those beats and you can split that into 2 eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or you can split it into 4 sixteenths, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. You can even split it into like 3 eighth note triplets, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Right? So you can break that one beat into however many subdivided groupings you want, right? The common ones are the ones I just listed. Eighth notes, 16th notes, eighth note triplets. There's also sextuplets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can break that beat up in a bunch of different ways. But the concept that I'm going to explain today is where you take basically an even number of subdivided beats. So let's say like 16th notes, right? 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, and where you play an odd number of pitches over that, right? So let's say you're playing 5 pitches over 4 16th notes. That means that every 5 16th notes, the pattern will repeat. It won't repeat directly on beat 2, because you'll be playing, like if I was doing this, I'll just kind of count it out loud. If I was playing, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm taking 5 pitches, right, just kind of out of my A minor pentatonic scale. If I counted those out, it would be 1 E and a 2. And so on beat 2 is the 5th pitch. And then on the E of beat 2 to E, that's where it repeats again. So it would be something like this. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a. And so you can see it doesn't line up with the beat, and it creates this awesome rolling cyclical pattern that you can use really effectively in your solos and stop always playing from measure to measure. It's a big one you want to try to avoid. So I'm going to go through a couple licks that show you this concept. One of the ones which you heard in the beginning. But before I do that, I'd like to ask that if you find these videos helpful, if you enjoy them, and if they're useful to you, please go over to maxrichmusic.com and you can subscribe to the weekly newsletter. It is free, where I offer these videos plus a whole lot more tips, song lessons, free tabs, all kinds of things, free weekly to your inbox. And if you feel so inclined, you can hit the donate button as well. It helps me create this content for free, helps keep you guys playing stuff and learning stuff for free. So, in any case, we are going to go on to lick number 1 right now. Okay, so lick number 1, what we're basically going to do is simulate the little demonstration that I was just talking about, where we take an odd number of pitches and we play them over an even number of 16th notes. So the 16th notes are 4 per beat, right? There's only 4 16th notes per beat, so that's what we're going to use. Over that, we're going to play those 5 notes that I was playing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, except for one small thing. basically what we're going to do is we're going to cut off that last note. We're not going to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In place of that last note, we're just going to hold the fourth note. And that fourth note will last for 2 16th notes. So it'll be something like this. 1 E and a 2 E. And we're basically just going to hold that fourth note for an extra 16th notes value, right? So we're simulating the concept that I was just talking about. We're basically just chopping off that last note and making the second to last note last 1 16th note longer. So essentially, we're technically playing 4 even pitches over 4 16th notes, but that fourth pitch lasts for 1 more. So I guess you can consider this 4 pitches over 5 16th notes, right? Either way, you still get this odd over even concept. So this is lick 1. Okay, so basically what we're doing here, we are once again climbing up 1 E and then we hang on to this for 1 extra 16th note, which gives us 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a, right? And so there's only 4 pitches that we're using. The fourth one sort of simulates a fifth pitch by being held that long. You can just as easily do what I played in the intro. That kind of a thing where you actually do play the fifth pitch. Either way, it creates the cyclical rolling pattern. And if you notice with the one that I did, 1 E and with 4 pitches, every time the beat comes back around, every time you basically start again, you're starting on the same note, right? So it's always this cascading upward feeling, but because the beat is displaced, sort of, you can think about it as being displaced, it creates this cyclical rolling effect. So that was lick 1. Okay, so lick 2 is another concept that I used in the introduction, the very, very introduction, when I was kind of like playing a bunch of fast stuff. This one takes, once again, a 16th note subdivision, so we're playing everything over 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. But this one is, once again, odd over even. We are taking an odd number of pitches and we are playing them over 4 16th notes. So this is what that sounds like with the metronome, lick 2. Okay, so the pitches I'm using, it's basically all of this is coming out of the A minor pentatonic scale. So I'm doing 2 pull-offs from C to A and then B to A. And then we're hammering on E to G. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. Back up to the A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it repeats. Right? So there you have that. And if you're following along on the tab, you might notice something about lick 1 and this lick. Is that if you're thinking about, like, let's take this one. If you're looking at the tab on this one, how many measures is it before the whole lick repeats? Count out the measures. There's 7 of them, right? So you're playing 7 notes and there just so happens to be 7 measures before it repeats. Now, count it out on lick 1, and imagine that that 4th note is held for a 5th note, right? How many measures does lick 1 take before it repeats? 5. There's a pattern here. If you're doing this over even 16th notes, right? Or I mean, I guess it could work over even 8th notes as well. The number of pitches, if the pitches are odd numbered and the subdivisions are even numbered, then the number of pitches will determine how many measures it takes before the beginning of the lick starts back on beat 1, right? Because if you notice throughout lick 2, you don't start on this note on beat 1 like you do at the beginning of the lick until you get all the way through 7 measures, and then the whole thing starts over. So it's not a 100% of the time rule, right, as you'll see in the next lick, but if you're dealing with even subdivisions, right, so even 16th notes, 4 16th notes, 2 8th notes, whatever, some combination like that, if you're dealing with an even subdivision and an odd note grouping, most likely the chances are that the number of measures it will take to repeat back at the beginning match the number of pitches that you're using, which is a useful tool when you're playing in a solo. Let's say you're playing a 16-bar solo and you know that this pattern repeats every 7 measures, right? Or I guess on the 8th measure, right? Then you can use that to your advantage, maybe to build into the 8th measure or maybe to build into the 16th measure. You can time it out so that you create this effect usefully in context of a solo that can then lead you to somewhere else and lead you into something else that you're doing. So keep that in mind. Now, here is lick 3. Okay, kind of a short one, a bit of a blues feel, and the reason there's a blues feel is because we're using triplets. Da 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 da. Right? So I was talking in the very beginning about how you can subdivide a beat. This is one of the ways. You can use triplet 8th notes, right? So instead of 1 E enda, 2 E enda, 3 E enda, right, which would be 16th notes, or 8th notes, straight 8s, 1 and 2 and 3 and, we're going to use triplets. 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a, which is super, super common in the blues. And this lick mimics a blues lick. So the licks, the notes that I'm playing, so we're starting with a double stop on the 7th fret with my ring finger, playing the D and the F sharp, and then I roll onto the A string, A note, the D string, A, 7th fret, and then I bar the 5th fret with my first finger, and then hammer on to my middle finger. So how many notes is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I go back here to my A on the 7th fret, and then now I roll onto the E of the A string. So, and now I play G on the D string, A on the D string. How many notes is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have an even series of pitches, right, in this lick, and I'm playing them over an odd subdivision. So this is even over odd, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? But because I'm playing them over an odd series of an odd series of subdivisions, it doesn't take 8 measures to repeat. In fact, it only takes 8 beats to repeat, right? But still, I'm playing 8 pitches and it takes 8 beats to repeat itself. If you're looking at the tab, it's only 2 measures long because after the second measure, it starts back again on 1, right? So the lick so that would be like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And then we're back at the top. All right? So once again. And there you have lick 3. Okay, so lick 4 is this real sort of shreddy style, fast kind of a thing. And if you're looking at the tab, what you're looking at is 6 16th notes per beat. So those are 6 tuplets, right? So the way you would count that, I mean, you could count it a bunch of different ways, but you might think of like 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 right? So we have an even number, because 6 is an even number, and how many pitches are we playing over this? We're basically doing this, we're doing this fast, but right, so the pattern repeats every 5 pitches. 1 2 3 4 5. And so we're basically just descending the pentatonic scale. Okay, one final time. And basically, we're just climbing down 5 notes. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. Now the 5th note of the last time is the downbeat of the next bar, and it is the octave of where we just ended. So if you're mapping this out as far as like 16th notes, it'd be like 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 1. Right? And so once again, this rule applies similar to the last lick. We're not dealing with 8th notes or straight 16th notes or anything. We're dealing with sextuplets, which is in actuality a triplet figure, the same as the subdivision of our last lick, right? And so how many beats do we have before the lick would repeat? We have 5 beats, and we have 5 pitches. So that sort of lines up. It's sort of a general rule that if you're playing straight 8ths or straight 16ths, the number of pitches determines the number of measures. If you're playing a triplet subdivision, sextuplets or triplets or something like this, then the number of pitches determines the number of beats before the pattern repeats. But that's basically the general idea. It's fast, but the way you think about this, the thing that makes this challenging is that on the 5th note, 1 2 3 4 5, I'm sorry, on the 6th note, 1 2 3 4 5 6 1, the 1 of the next beat is coming from a pull-off, so you're not plucking that note, right? So you have to get that in mind, that when you're hearing this and you're learning how to do this, that you're just thinking 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? And you just hear that that subdivision going on in your head, right? It's very important when you're doing this that you're hearing the subdivided beats in your head, so that you can keep that in line with the metronome, because you're not going to be able to count this. You're not going to be able to like necessarily follow what beat you're on because of the cyclical pattern and because you're going to be concentrating on playing the notes. So the best way to do it is to concentrate on the subdivision, because that's the easiest way to keep yourself in line in time. Okay, so the last lick, lick 5, is an ascending really fast lick. And we're using sort of the blues scale this time, not just pure minor pentatonic. And so what we're doing, I'll map it out slowly for you so you can check this out. So we're going. So the interesting thing about this one is that we're playing various numbers of pitches per grouping. So once again, we're dealing with 6 sextuplets, 1 E ended, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But the first note grouping is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the first note grouping is 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, over 6 sextuplets. And then the next note grouping is 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the next note grouping, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to 7. So we're playing a group of 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, followed by a group of 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we jump back down and play 7 more ascending notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the final group is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And now this gets complicated to sort of, there is no hard and fast rule with a lick like this because we're changing the number of pitches per grouping, right? There's still straight sextuplets all the way through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But we're changing the number of notes per group. And the way you kind of count these groups is they're all ascending and then the new group starts on a pitch that's way lower than where you ended. And that's how you know the number of notes per grouping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then that's the ending of, that's the last part of the ascending line. Then we drop back down to the 4, to the D, and climb back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then from there we drop back down to the E and climb up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way from E to E, using the E flat or the D sharp every time we go near it. We're not skipping over the D sharp at all. And then the final note grouping starts on D, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you can shift up for the 10th fret A, or you can play the A here. Right? So and there you have it. Basically, what we're doing is we're not playing an even note grouping over an even series of subdivisions, right? That's fine. You could do that. Like, tons of players do that. I do that. Everyone does that, right? But if you're looking for something different, if you're looking for a way to create very rhythmic and very cyclical feeling patterns in your playing, using an odd number of pitches and an even number of subdivisions, or vice versa, right? Can use an odd number of subdivisions and an even number of pitches, right? You can play 4 pitches over quintuplets, you know, over 5/16 notes per beat. That would be really crazy. You can come up and be creative with any number of these combinations as you want, but the trick to doing this is to map this out and to plan something out and say, okay, there's a technically easy maneuver on the guitar that I like to do. Now, how many pitches is that? Okay, now how many subdivisions will I play this over? And make sure that it's not even over even or odd over odd, because then you won't get the cyclical sort of like rolling ostinato pattern. So anyway, enjoy it, and if you have questions or if you have comments or anything, please leave them in the comment section, or you can email me directly, max@maxrichmusic.com, and let me know your thoughts. I'm happy to help you out and walk you through any of the stuff that you may need. So thanks.